Hello and welcome back. This video is part 2 of 2 and we will continue talking about Eastern Europe. Moldova's capital is Chisinau and the country used to be part of Romania, pre-Soviet Union in 1944. Now it is the smallest member of the Commonwealth of Independent Countries, formed after the dissolution of the Soviet Union. Moldova was the largest wine-producing country under the Soviets, with the largest area under vine, and their wines were very popular in Moscow. After the collapse, Moldova became one of the poorest countries in Europe. Winemaking dates back 4,000 years and was influenced by the Greeks and Romans. Unlike its neighbors, the Moldovan wine market was virtually unaffected by the Soviet dissolution or Gorbachev's alcohol ban in the 80s, as the country turned to international friends in search of new markets, bringing in international producers' investments and reshaping national wine production. The country is located at the 47th parallel north, in line with the Loire Valley and southern Washington, with temperate continental climate, but more Mediterranean in the south, and an average summer temperature of 68 degrees Fahrenheit, moderated by the Dniester and Prut rivers. Landlocked but near the Black Sea, the overall landscape is low and hilly. Production is focused around indigenous varieties, and the most popular are Fetasca Alba and Fetasca Regala for whites, and Fetasca Negra for red wines. There is also heavy Western European influence marked by the presence of many international varieties. It is also possible to encounter wines made with some Caucasian varieties such as Ricatatelli and Saperavi. Winters here are not as a major threat as in Ukraine and Russia, and the use of cordon training on medium-height trellis is common. 90% of vineyard work is still done by hand and irrigation is kept to a minimum. National production improved after the USSR dissolution, with the industry opening up for foreign markets, and the Russian ban on alcohol encouraged technical developments which further improved Moldovan wine standings with Western neighbors. Modern equipment is more and more becoming widely used thanks to international investors as well as domestic winemakers seeking greater wine education. Another factor that helped define the local wine industry is the increase in private vineyard ownership after the fall of communism. Moldova closely follows the European Union classification with 4 PGIs: Divin, covering the whole country, Codru, Stefan Voda, and Valului Traian, the most important region. The mountainous country of Romania, with its capital Bucharest, was settled by ancient Greeks in the 7th century BC and is one of Eastern Europe's largest wine producers and exporters, as the 5th Eastern European country in area under vine and national consumption of 6.8 gallons per capita. The region has over 6,000 years of winemaking tradition in an area with Latin-based language. Romania is surrounded by Ukraine, Moldova, the Black Sea, Bulgaria, Serbia, and Hungary, and is home to the eastern and southern Carpathian Mountains. The Danube River forms the southern border with Bulgaria, where the soil is sandy and alluvial. At the 44th parallel north, in line with southwest France, Ontario, and central Oregon, the climate is alpine and continental, moderated by the eastern and southern Carpathian Mountains as well as many rivers. Very much like Moldova to the north, Romanian wines are dominated by indigenous grapes such as Fetasca Alba, Fetasca Regala. Fetasca Negra is Romania's flagship red grape, but Babasca Negra and Razioara, also known as Pamid in Bulgaria, are also popular cultivars. Cotonari wines are only made with white grapes, Graza and Francusa, and the presence of international varieties is also strong, with Welsh Riesling leading the pack. Traditionally, Goblet was the preferred trellis method, but modern vineyards utilize Guyot and Cordon, and mechanization is widespread. International investments help improve vineyard practices, and privately owned vineyards with international ventures have brought the industry to a higher level of production. Updates to production include stainless steel vats, temperature control, pneumatic presses, which has led to faulty wines becoming less common as winery hygiene and better practices are employed. There are 8 wine regions with 13 PGIs and 32 PDOs, DOC in Romanian, which can be divided in 3 tiers: CMD, CT, and CIB. DOC CMD are for wines harvested at full maturity, bearing the designation of origin. DOC CT are for late harvest wines, and DOC CIB for botrytized sweet wines. Furthermore, wines can carry the terms Reserva and Vin de Vinoteca. where Reserva indicates wine is aged for at least 6 months in barrel and 6 months in bottle, and Vin da Vinoteca, wine is aged for at least 1 year in barrel and 4 years in bottle. Bulgaria, with its capital Sofia, is filled with many important attributes for the culture of the region and is known as the land of roses due to a large production of rose oil. It is also where the Cyrillic alphabet was invented and now is so important for Slavic literature and culture. There is a powerful wine heritage of over 3,000 years with strong export to Western Europe thanks to Roman viticultural developments. Pre-communism, small growers dominated the landscape, but were taken by the state to focus on quantity over quality. Later, as in Georgia, the 80s alcohol ban in Russia dramatically impacted Bulgaria's wine industry, closing many vineyards. Moving clockwise starting to the north, the country borders Romania, the Black Sea, Turkey, Greece, North Macedonia, and Serbia. The Danube River forms the northern border with Romania, and the country is split north-south by the Stara Panina Mountains, the Balkan mountain range. Located at the 42nd parallel north, in line with the Oregon-California border and Rome, the climate is continental, moderated by the Black Sea, Stara Panina Mountains, and many rivers, including the Danube. Further south, the Aegean Sea also provides powerful influence to the region. Bulgaria produces predominantly red wine, with Merlot as the most planted red grape, followed by Cabernet Sauvignon. Local red varieties such as Pamid, Mavrud, Gamza, and Miske are very popular, and whites are mostly made of Melnik, Aligoté, and Muscat. The use of oak is extensive with French oak preferred, but local production is rising. Modernization to winemaking techniques are being brought by European Union incentives and the utilization of French wine consultants. Bulgaria follows the European Union three-tiered system of classification, with wine at the lowest tier. There are two PGIs, the Danubian Plains and the Thracian Lowlands, split by the Balkan mountain range with a yield restriction of 40 to 50 hectoliters per hectare. The 52 PDOs have even more restrictive yields, at 25 to 40 hectoliters per hectare. Wines can also be labeled reserve if aged for at least 1 year, and chaptalization is not needed but allowed. The region formerly known as Yugoslavia is called the Western Balkans and has a past plagued by political changes. The Yugoslav kingdom was formed at the end of World War I, becoming the Republic of Yugoslavia at the end of World War II, and splitting into individual countries following the fall of the Soviet Union. Sitting across the Adriatic Sea from Italy, there can be found evidence of early presence of Greek and Roman winemakers. The region encompasses Serbia, Kosovo, North Macedonia, Albania, Montenegro, and Bosnia and Herzegovina, in a region dominated by a mountainous and diverse landscape, bordering Hungary to the north, Romania, Bulgaria, Greece, the Adriatic Sea, and Croatia. With the same latitude of central Italy, the climate is continental and Mediterranean, moderated by the Adriatic Sea to the west and the Aegean Sea to the far southwest. The grape varieties utilized in the region are as eclectic as the region's history, but dominated by indigenous production. The most popular are the red Prokupak and Vranak, and the whites Grasak and Smederevka. Moving northwest towards Italy, we come across Croatia and its capital Zagreb, heavy with Greek and Roman influences. As all other countries in the bloc affected by communism, the focus was on quantity over quality. And after Croatia departed Yugoslavia in 1991, private and cooperative ownerships of vineyards improved quality significantly. Croatia is also known as the home of Mike Grgic, founder of Grgic Hills in California, and the winemaker responsible for the 1973 Chateau Montelena Chardonnay, winner of the infamous Judgment of Paris in 1976. There are 4 wine regions, the continental Slavonia and Danube PDO, and the Croatian Uplands PDO, and the coastal Istrian Kvarner and Dalmatia. At the 45th parallel north, Croatia is in line with Piedmont, with continental and Mediterranean climates, moderated by the Pannonian Plains to the north, the Adriatic Sea to the south, and the Dinaric Alps to the east. The principal grape varieties are the whites Grazevina, known as Welch Riesling, and Malvasia Starska, and the red Plavlak Mali, the second most planted grape. Croatia is also famous for Cyrianak Kaštelanski or Tribidrag, which DNA analysis proved to be Zinfandel and is now seeing an uptick in plantings. Modern winemaking technique improvements have been allowing for better application of traditional techniques such as white wine maceration, and the use of acacia instead of oak for barrel production is also on the rise. Finally, we arrive in Slovenia with its capital Ljubljana, our last stop before reaching Italy. Here we find a long history of winemaking before the Romans arrived, and later monks and monasteries had a major influence. As with its southern neighbors, wine production turned into quantity over quality after World War II, until the country joined the European Union in 2004. Slovenia has one of the world's highest consumption at 10.5 gallons per capita per year. There are 3 wine-growing regions: Primorska PGI with 4 PDOs, Podravie PGI, the largest region with 2 PDOs, and Posavie PGI, the smallest region with 3 PDOs. The country borders Steiermark to the north, the Balaton region to the east, Croatia to the south, and Friuli-Venezia Giulia to the west. Located at the 46th parallel north, in line with Ticino and the Washington border with Oregon. The climate is continental with Mediterranean influence, moderated by the Alps, Adriatic Sea, and the Pannonian Plains. 70% of production is white, dominated by Lasky Riesling, Welsh Riesling, but there is a large number of international grapes produced here with great influence from the Italian wines growing in the Tre Veneto region, as well as Madri Pinot, Pinot Noir, the most planted red. Harvest is done manually through fields planted using predominantly single and double guyot. Traditionally, Slovenian and Slavonia oak are preferred, but modern production has increased the utilization of stainless steel, Slovenian and French oak, and malolactic conversion is commonplace to curb the naturally occurring high acids. Co-ops in large winery produce the most wine, but small family-owned wineries are popular and fetching higher prices. Slovenia adheres to the European Union classification system, and here PDO, ZOP, can also be classified as PTP, similar to Austrian DAC or Hungarian DHC, and carry label designations for sweetness. Pre-European Union classification, Slovenian wines followed a 4-tier system with predicate levels according to the German classification. How about you? Have you ever visited any Eastern European country? What is your favorite? I'd love to keep this conversation going, so please leave your comment below and I'll be glad to see what you have to share. I know this was a long presentation, part 2 of 2 as well. So thank you for sticking around, and I hope this was useful to you in any way. If you would like to see more of these presentations, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel or follow me on Instagram. I'm hoping to publish 1 video every week, so stay tuned for more content.